chosen ones, listen carefully. For if this message has reached you at this precise moment, it is not a coincidence. It is a confirmation. For years, you have weathered invisible storms, crossed invisible deserts, and fought battles that no one else dared to face alongside you. Your pain was held back, your tears hidden, and yet you did not give up. This solitary resistance, which seemed futile to the world, was recorded as an act of power that shattered all of humanity's patterns. Yes, there were nights when you thought no one saw your struggle, but the entire universe stopped to observe what you were doing. And most shockingly, God Himself, the Creator of heaven and earth, was awed by the magnitude of your silent strength. This is not human applause, but the divine gaze fixed upon you, beholding the purity of your perseverance when anyone else would have crumbled. This resistance has not been ignored. It has been celebrated. It has been admired. It has been transformed into proof that within you exists something that transcends the human. Today, in this video, you will discover why your endurance has so impressed the heavens, what is secretly preparing to reward you, and how everything you have endured in solitude is about to be transformed into a public manifestation. Stay until the end, for what is coming will not only redefine your view of endurance, it will ignite a flame that will transform your outlook on life. This is not an ordinary message. It is a cosmic announcement reserved for those who have endured without recognition, for those whom the world has forgotten, but whom God has never ceased to watch. And now, before we move on to what is about to be revealed, I ask you for a prophetic thing. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment on the number 99 below. 499 represents what seemed lost, what seemed invisible, but has been found and restored by God. This comment is not just a number. It is a sign in the spiritual world that your solitary endurance is being recognized right now. There have been storms that were not meant simply to disrupt you, but to destroy you completely. They were winds brewed in hidden dimensions, hurricanes of betrayal, abandonment, and injustice, with only one goal: to break your spirit, silence your voice, and bury your destiny. Every blow was calculated. Every silence around you was strategic. Every loss aimed at uprooting the seed God had planted within you. And yet, you are still here, still breathing, still walking, still moving forward, even when everything screamed failure. This was no ordinary ordeal. Anyone else in your position would have fallen to their knees, never to rise again. Many would have become permanent victims of their pain. Others would have given up. Still others would have sought dark shortcuts to escape the unbearable weight, but not you. You faced each wave with the determination of someone who refuses to die mid-process. You had no audience, no applause, often no one to tell the story of what you were going through. And yet, you got back up time and time again, when even your mind whispered it was no longer worth it. What few people know is that these storms were not mere coincidences of life. They were meticulously orchestrated tests designed to reveal whether your essence was authentic or if everything was just a facade. They were scenarios where the enemy bet everything on your ability to bend and break. But each time you resisted, even if you felt your inner strength drained, a celestial record was set. It was as if the heavens themselves were telling you, look, there is a soul who does not give up. There is a warrior who, despite his blood, does not retreat. There is a chosen one who, even under the deluge, maintains his integrity. Your nights of silent tears were not invisible. Your inner struggles, the ones no one else understood, were observed in detail. And every time you chose to resist instead of giving in, something was written in an eternal book. This son, this daughter, possesses superior character. For greatness is revealed, not when everything is easy, but when circumstances conspire against you, and you decide to persevere anyway. And you, the chosen one, are the living testimony. Think of all the times the ground shook beneath your feet. How many times life seemed to close every door on you. How many times betrayal came from those you least expected. How many times God's silence seemed unbearable. Yet you dared not deny your faith. This was the ultimate test. These storms were not meant to destroy you. They were meant to show you what you were made of, and you proved it. Your silent resistance became a cry in the heavens. That's why the entire universe looks at you differently today, because you didn't fall when you were meant to. You didn't lose your essence when everything pointed to that loss. That's the mark of a truly chosen one. The ability to weather storms others wouldn't have survived and emerged standing, not by your own strength, but by a supernatural connection that sustained you even when your hands could no longer hold anything. And now, understand something profound. Those storms that failed to bring you down are precisely why your name is written into new chapters that will change your destiny. Every wind that tried to extinguish your fire only fanned it further. Every wave that tried to sink you only brought you closer to the shore. Every storm that tried to break you only confirmed that your inner structure is indestructible. But there is one detail you must engrave in your mind. It is not just that you survived, it is that you impressed God by surviving. It is not that you resisted out of inertia. It is that you demonstrated a strength that even the heavens had never recorded. And it is precisely here that begins what the world will never see coming. From the outside, your resilience was never understood. Those around you observed you without knowing how to categorize what they saw. Some thought you were stubborn, that you refused to accept reality, that your silence was nothing but obstinacy. Others were convinced you were trapped by some kind of emotional masochism, as if you enjoyed suffering. Some even considered you naive, incapable of understanding the harshness of life and adapting to it. But what they didn't know was that behind every decision you made, behind every step you took, lay a power immeasurable by human logic. Time and again, your family members questioned you. Why do you persist? Why don't you give up now? What's the point of sitting back when there's nothing to gain? Your friends, those who had once promised to support you, began to disappear one by one, convinced that your persistence was a waste of time. And your enemies, they were convinced that sooner or later you would give in. They watched you closely, watching for the crack in your armor, waiting for the day you would say, "I can't take it anymore." What they never understood was that you weren't resisting just to impress them. You weren't fighting endlessly to prove anything to men. Your strength didn't come from ego. It wasn't a strategy to manipulate sympathy, much less a way to get attention. It was something much deeper. It was that invisible current that flowed from the higher dimensions and sustained your soul, even when your body trembled. While they thought you were wasting your time, God saw integrity. While they believed you were trapped in denial, heaven recorded fidelity to an eternal purpose. Where human knowledge interpreted disguised weakness, the Creator saw unwavering courage. For only He could see the difference between human stubbornness and divine resilience. And in you, the chosen one, the latter was revealed. Consider this. When people stopped believing in you, when your decision seemed absurd to everyone, what sustained you? It wasn't the applause, because you didn't get any. It wasn't the validation, because it was denied you. It wasn't the promise of earthly rewards, because they were absent. It was something higher, something the world cannot comprehend. A conviction embedded in your mind that said, don't give up, because what you have inside is worth more than what you lose outside. And that was the key. The world had no way of understanding that your silence was not empty, but a prayer. That your perseverance was not stubbornness, but a connection with the eternal. That your apparent naivety was not blindness, but a spiritual vision that could see beyond what others would never reach. So when they stumbled over your steps, heaven celebrated your path. When they called you lost, God wrote that you were found. When they mocked your resilience, He smiled at the pure strength that welled up from the depths of your being. The fascinating thing is that this confusion wasn't accidental. It was part of the plan. God allowed them to misunderstand you, because if they had, they would have stopped you. If they had grasped the magnitude of what you carried within you, they would have tried to manipulate it, steal it, and derail you. So, while the world saw stubbornness, God saw incorruptible seed. While they scratched their heads, wondering why you hadn't fallen, He leaned down from His throne and said, "This is my son. This is my daughter, resisting with the strength I myself have placed within them." And here's the mystery that will keep you awake tonight. What troubled the world is precisely what impressed God. What was misinterpreted as weakness was actually the greatest evidence of your connection to the divine. And this misunderstanding wasn't just part of your process. It marked your eternal difference. What truly shook the heavens was not only your ability to remain standing, but also your perseverance. For many can endure, but few do so without letting bitterness, hatred, or revenge seep into them. You faced betrayals that would have turned anyone into a traitor. You endured cruelties that would have hardened others beyond recognition, and you passed through dark nights that would have shattered the faith of thousands. Yet something radically different happened within you. You endured untainted. This inner purity disarmed all human logic and caused the Creator Himself to stop and gaze upon your life in awe. Look around you. The world is full of people who, after being hurt, decide to hurt again. Who, after being betrayed, live in distrust. Who, after suffering cruelty, close their hearts and become a reflection of the injustice they suffered. But you were the exception. Pain didn't turn you into an executioner. Loneliness didn't petrify you. Darkness didn't settle within you. You continued to walk with compassion in your eyes. Even when yours were filled with tears, you continued to believe in love despite 1,000 reasons not to. You maintained your nobility even when everything around you screamed that it was useless to preserve it. That silent decision not to let the storm overwhelm you was more powerful than any visible victory. For you not only survived the storm, you survived unharmed, preserving what was most sacred, your essence. And in a world where wounds often leave irreversible scars, your heart remained like an altar intact amidst the ruins. This integrity was not accidental. It was a prophetic act, a testimony that resonated in unseen dimensions. God watched every moment. He saw you cry but never become a victim. He saw you suffer injustice but never soil your hands with the same injustice. He saw you endure rejection but never deny your purpose. It was this difference that captivated His gaze. For everyone can resist out of pride or stubbornness, but only a soul truly connected to heaven can resist without letting the poison contaminate their spirit. The entire universe took note of this detail. Every time you chose to forgive when you had the right to hate, every time you decided to love when it was easier to distrust, every time you preserved your compassion when cruelty tried to stifle it, you created an echo in the heavens. This echo was recorded not as ordinary resistance, but as an act of transcendental purity. Purity does not mean naivete. It's not that you haven't seen evil. You have seen it, and you have faced it. You have felt it, and you have endured it. But you have chosen not to let it seep into you. And that choice, repeated day after day, night after night, has forged in you a character that even heaven itself could not ignore. The Creator was impressed because your soul demonstrated that it is possible to walk through fire and emerge without the smell of smoke, that it is possible to walk among thorns and carry flowers, that it is possible to be surrounded by darkness and keep the light burning. This purity was your invisible shield, your secret weapon, your silent victory. And now understand this mystery. This purity you have kept secret is about to be revealed. God was not only impressed, He decided to reward it in a way that will shatter all expectations. And as this event approaches, I want to leave you with a question that burns deep within you. What will happen when this purity, which the world has never understood, becomes the reason why heaven opens doors that seemed eternally closed? There was a secret that few understood at the heart of your struggles. Your resistance was born neither from a desire to be seen nor from an ambition for recognition. You resisted because within you resided an uncompromising code, an unspoken pact with divine principles that you never allowed to be broken. It was neither human pride nor ego, nor the need to prove anything to the world. It was fidelity to eternal values, invisible convictions that allowed you to stand firm when nothing justified continuing to fight. Think of all the times you found yourself completely alone, without an audience, without witnesses, without a single round of applause to validate your efforts. What was the point of persevering? To anyone observing from the outside, the logical thing would have been to give up, but your spirit refused. This refusal was not motivated by convenience or strategy. It was motivated by loyalty. You chose to persevere with integrity, even when no one was watching, because you knew there was an eternal, all-seeing eye. And this is the mark of the truly chosen: steadfastness in secret, loyalty in the unseen, consistency when no one else demands results. The world applauds those who succeed in public, but heaven honors those who remain steadfast in private. And you were one of them. It wasn't easy. There were nights when your faith seemed like a fragile thread about to snap. Days when your values were trampled upon. Times when voices around you said, "If no one sees you, why stay faithful?" Yet every time you decided to remain whole, even though logic screamed that it was futile, you created a vibration that went straight to the heart of God. What people never understood was that your loyalty was not a matter of convenience, but of conviction. True loyalty is measured by high cost, by suffering, by the lack of easy opportunities, by abandoning paths that promised immediate relief. And you did it time and time again. You chose the hard way. You chose truth when lies offered an advantage. You chose patience when impatience offered shortcuts. This loyalty transcended all human logic, for it did not seek visible rewards. It sought to honor eternal principles. God saw how you stood firm when your decisions seemed foolish, how you remained faithful to good even when evil seemed more profitable. how you kept your course toward the divine when everything pushed you in the opposite direction. This faithfulness was like a rare fragrance that rose from the earth to the heavens, filling the heart of the Creator with wonder. The extraordinary thing was not just that you endured, but that you endured faithfully. It wasn't that you couldn't give up, was that you wouldn't betray your very essence. Your faithfulness was a silent language that God understood as a genuine "I love you," a wordless "I trust in you," a commitment that overcame the hardest trials. And this is the mystery that must remain etched in your mind. Your faithfulness has never been lost. Every moment when you said, "I would rather suffer by being faithful than enjoy infidelity," has been recorded in the eternal books. And it is this testimony that today opens the doors to a reward inexplicable by human logic. The world thought you were stubborn, wasting your time clinging to old-fashioned values. But heaven saw something else. It saw a warrior who chose to remain pure rather than compromise his destiny. It saw a soul who preferred eternity to temporal conveniences. It saw a loyalty so radical that it touched the divine heart. And now, what seemed immutable is about to be transformed. For when loyalty reaches unseen levels, God's response is immediate. Prepare yourselves, for this secret loyalty, which no one appreciated, will be publicly revealed as the reason why heaven itself has decided to honor you. The question is, what will happen when your loyalty, until now hidden and ridiculed, becomes the key that unlocks what seemed impossible? Chosen one, this message ends here. Come back tomorrow for another message.